Well, hey there, folks. Um, Today I thought I would go over some techniques I use to do corrosion and rust. Um, this is an example of what I've done with a blight hauler for the Death Guard. I've been playing with different rust techniques and such, and figured it'd be probably good enough for a video. But this is my interpretation of what that type of neglect and weathering and stuff for the Death Guard would be. These upper areas here were brass, and then I put on a this what is this Nilica oxide, which seems to work really well for the brass. I like that color on the brass, but I'll get to the rest of that here in a minute. So I have been playing a lot of Fallout 76, and I've been seeing these sheet metal sheds, and I figured, what, I want to make one, just because I've also got the miniature game for Wasteland Warfare. So what I want to do is go show you a couple different techniques that I use or have been playing with, and maybe you get some value out of it, maybe not. But I figured we'll go ahead and do that. The first technique I'm going to show you is probably going to be the least involved, and this is going to be a sponge technique. We just got just a regular dish sponge that's been it's all been wetted up and blown up and all that. And I'm going to start by just stippling with some chocolate brown. And there's no real rhyme or reason to it. There's no patterns, no nothing like that. It's just until you think it looks good. So make that a little more manageable for me. And then I've taken this and covered it in basically a cheap craft paint silver color. And now, oops. Now it's just a matter of just dabbing here and there. And this technique, again, is very straightforward, and it can produce its own, can carry its own really good results as well. I don't think there's any one better than the other. It's just a matter of which one you feel like at the time. That's the way I paint. Very, very moody, this guy. You see, I got the brown on there, and it's kind of the dark undertone of the black primer helps. The thinner craft paint helps also. It kind of gives that more weathered look or aged look. And then the brown, remember, as this stuff dries, it will be darkening. And then I like to hit back the same areas, use the same sponge, and add in just a little bit of, this is Filthy Brown from Vallejo, so whatever rust colors you like. But again, same thing, we're just kind of dab that a little bit, blot off a little bit of excess. It'd be kind of like almost like an over, if you will. But again, just kind of hit it a little bit, just enough to make it pop up a little bit on that brown, on that dark brown background. And just like that, it's already starting to get that look to it. And then last but not least is a little bit of the orange red. For this, I actually like to do more kind of streaking with this type of stuff. So add a little bit into my palette here, and add in just a little bit of water. Where'd it go? Yeah, I've got a separate dropper bottle just for water. This has got a little flow aid in it, which helps with moving through sand and that type of stuff. I find it rather useful, actually. All right, so just kind of wear that up a little bit, and then just kind of hit it kind of get some of that that streaking effect, if you will. I like the fact that it's kind of thinned down. You can kind of travel it a little bit. Again, just whatever you think looks good. And how will this read across the table? It'll read like a rusty building, or semi-rusty building. If I was going to weather this, like I'm going to put it on one of my tables, I'd weather this a lot more. But I just want to show you the technique of what this looks like. Okay. The next one is going to be very simple, very straightforward, and it's actually going to be a lot less involved. And that's using the Citadel Typus Corrosion. Recently started using this stuff a lot, and this stuff is really, really good. It is. I've had this, as the common vernacular goes, I've had this for a minute. So hopefully the name hasn't changed, but that, yeah, this technical paint should still be available. But basically it's just going to be some stippling just like that. And then a lot of times I'll go back and hit it with the these same two, the Filthy Brown and the orange red, because I just like that color combination. Let's hit it just like that. It's kind of a little stippling. Just like that. Now, if you wanted to, you could even add in a touch of this, the oxide. Words are not with me today. It got a touch of oxide, and I would make this a little bit lighter, and just kind of, again, hit it in some of the open areas. It can blend over. It's not supposed to be a polka dot. It's rust and corrosion and such, and that might do pretty well. Then again, come back, hit it with the dark, over top the dark stuff. This stuff works really well. I have noticed a little bit of texture on this as well. And the thing that's going to tie all this together is going to be a black wash, which will go over top of it, or actually a sepia wash will also help on that as well. Whoa, a little too much. Oh well. So the technique is what's important. So again, coming with that orange red up top, you kind of blend it into this other stuff. And it ends up something like that. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good. And the last one is going to be, this is a little more involved, but it's got a really neat effect. I actually saw this on Eric's Hobby Workshop and went ahead and got some of this this stuff in. And ironically, I had already had the rust set from Vallejo. Vallejo came out with a rust set, and I've got our Panzer Aces and all that, but I've got Vallejo put out a rust set, and these were the colors. It came out with the dark rust, a light rust, and then an orange brown. And then on top, and then I'll use this masking fluid. And this stuff is really, really good. It's as long as you don't forget where it is. Not that I've ever done that, but anywho. So what I'm going to do is with this one, I'll show you here in the doorway. This is a rough prototype for me. I just wanted to see if this was going to be something that the construction I did with this was going to be worth the effort. Because I did an old timber interior with that, and then did just corrugated paper on the outside. And I do. I like the look of this really, really well. I think if I'm going to do solid buildings, though, I would skip the wood timber and just do a foam core structure or foam core shape. Jeez. And then go in with the paper over top of that and some wood trim and stuff, and that'll be just fine. So because I don't have a set pattern in my head of what this is going to do, I'm going to cover this whole side in the dark rust. And this will give a little more naturalness to the naturalness. Okay. This will give a more natural look to it when it comes down to peeling off the mask. And actually, I prefer this way better. But if I am kind of in a rush or just not feeling it or whatever, I'll go to the other two. Actually. Especially for something big, like if I'm doing a dreadnought or something, I'll take the time and do something like this, or like the knight I've got half built and trying to get him put together, along with the other bins of shame. But anyway, so once this dries, then I go through with this. In the meantime, I can hit it with a hairdryer and I'll be right back. So I got this thing pretty dry. Ooh, that's a neat globby thing. Okay. So I got this thing fairly dry. And now it's just a matter of daubing this stuff on. You can make it as big or as little as you like. And kind of just like that. I've got this masking liquid on here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's, see those shiny bits right there? Yeah, it's masking liquid, excuse me, after it dried. So now I'm just going to go through and give this thing some of that silver color. And you go with a bigger brush. Now let's go through and cover all this up. All right, now I've sped up the drying a little bit with the help of a hair dryer, and now I'm just going to take this mask off. And just kind of try and get in there a little bit with the fingernail if I can. Corrugated can be a little fiddly. See, when it does like that, it gives me that. To me, it looks a lot more believable or real, if you will. I think next time I just make it just a little bit more glob-like, I guess is a good way to put it. So it will stand up a little better, easier to grab hold of. Yeah, you can see the effect right there. I think that looks pretty good. Looks kind of weathered. Yeah, but at the end of the day, am I looking for to simulate realism as close as I can get it? Kinda, not really. I just want it to look like it's rusted. If I was going for ultra realism, I wouldn't be doing it for wargaming terrain. I'd be making dioramas or something like that. You know, will it read like, you know, rusted building and stuff from 3 feet away? Yes. And that's really what I'm looking for. Yeah, my table, that's cool. That's what it'll look like. And any places where I've got into the to the underlying color, I'll just go back and touch that up with that dark rust color. Yeah. This is the first time I've ever used it on the corrugated paper, actually. Actually, this is the first time I've used a corrugated paper before. I like this stuff, so I don't have to, like with the corrugated cardboard, where you have to deal with all the little, I guess right there, yeah. You have to deal with all the paper and all that stuff, trying to get it all clean and everything. That's just not as, this is a lot cleaner, a lot faster. And then generally my sequence goes to like a light rust color, which I'll kind of use a makeup brush to go over top of that with, over top of the dark brown, or the dark rust color. Just trying to hit the raised areas some with that. Yeah. Makes it stand out a little bit. All right, now we're going to go in with this orange brown. You can use this as a base color for some slayers and such. Just kind of, because I'm dealing with such a large area, I want to bring that down a little bit, kind of like that. Yeah. Where the rest would run down with the water and such. Even going up into here a little bit. And being sure to go rather light on this stuff overall. Try and blend it in or work it into the upper areas and such. It seems to be a little translucent in that regard. And there we go. Well, what do you think? Yeah, like I said, from across the table, that'll look all right. Now, last thing I do, regardless of which technique I use, is I always come through with a couple different washes. I like hitting with the rust wash. And again, this is, you could use the orange red real thin and kind of do this, get the same effect as this. This is just, for me, more convenient. And for me, the consistency from item to item that I do with the wash is what's important. And so yeah, I'm going to go through and hit all this with this wash. And it's just going to be a slathering, if you will. There's, yeah. Just thin this down just a little bit with a touch of water. So I get some more run out of it. There we go. Kind of like that. I'll work off any excess with the brush to do that. Probably going to come back with a strong tone and hit this thing. So instead of going over this thing with a strong tone, I decided to give a sepia wash. I remember now that that's one of the things I did with my blight hauler right there. And yeah, that definitely taps down the shininess. And this is just a yeah, sepia shade. I'm not again, just kind of going through and taking off any excess. I don't want this stuff to pool. I've had that happen before, and it's not very nice. So anyway, that's the techniques that I use for doing rust effects. As you can see, the overall effect, I think, turns out pretty good. Well, I appreciate you all watching today. Please hit the like, share, subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, thank you very much. I do appreciate you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Y'all take care.